Hey guys, we're gonna ignore this. I keep trying to go for the Farrah Fawcett. I've done it successfully before, like 2 or 3 years ago, and have not been able to do it since. So I think my bangs are too long, so I'm gonna have to cut them again, even though I cut them like every other day. But that is not what this video is about. This is the mid-year book tag, so I'm gonna be answering some questions about my reading up until the halfway point of the year, and then we're going to be looking at my stats of where I've got to with my reading in the first half of 2024. Let's get I'm not going to be answering every question that was a part of this tag because some of them just were not relevant to me because there were things about blog posts and what was the most beautiful cover. Y'all know I don't really care what a cover looks like. So these are the 12 questions that I had answers for. And I will insert pictures of the book covers or title of the book on the screen so y'all can see what I'm talking about. Number 1, best book you've read so far in 2024. And remember everybody, this is to July 1st because I think I've had my best book since then. But at the time it was Disoriental by Najar Dajawadi. This is a historical, but I would say some contemporary as well. We have our main character Camilla, who is looking back at her life and telling the story of her family from the early 1900s all the way into the mid 2000s. Her family is from Iran, and so it is looking all at basically the history of Iran through her family, all the political upheaval and being disorientalized as she is going from Iran to Europe and how she doesn't fit in with one or the other. And it was just such a great book, so informative, and I learned so much. 2, best sequel you've read so far in 2024. This book I gave a 4-star, and that is The Winners by Frederick Bachman. This is the book to wrap up the Beartown trilogy, and it was a beast. It was emotional, and I can't believe the series is over. Number 3, new release you haven't read yet but want to. There are a lot. I went to my reading journal and just went to the one on there, the first one, and that was the Berlin Letters. And this one is set obviously during the Cold War, and I don't know a ton about the Cold War and I want to learn more, and I think this will be a really cool setting. Number 4, most anticipated release for the second half of 2024. Again, I really don't know. None of them are like, oh my gosh, I need this right now. But I went with the first one on the list, and that was I Was a Teenage Slasher. I don't remember who either of those books are by, but that was just one that intrigued me. 5, biggest disappointment. Definitely A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. This is the prequel book to The Priory of the Orange Tree. You can read them in any order. I read Priory back in 2019, I think. Or 2020, one of those, and gave it a 5-star. Loved it. My favorite standalone fantasy. It was at the time my favorite fantasy I'd read since A Song of Ice and Fire. The prequel was basically that same book, copy and paste, changed very few things, and the characters were all pretty flat for me. Biggest surprise was The Indigo Girl, and in form of disappointment, just I cannot believe how popular that book is in the historical fiction community, because I think so many things in it were so controversial, and yeah, no, don't pick up that book. New favorite author, this was a hard one, but I'm going with Layla Motley. She did write a 5-star book that I read this year, and I was so impressed with her writing that she wrote the book Nightcrawling at such a young age and was able to have such a great writing style and a debut novel and everything. Oh, amazing. Number 8, newest fictional crush. I don't really get them, but I'm gonna go with Big City from The Winners. That's his nickname. Yeah, he's kind of cute because he's so naive about small town life. Yeah. Then newest favorite character. I had a hard time with this one as well. I love character studies. I love character work. But I'm going with just the Cast of Normal People by Sally Rooney. I don't consider myself a Sally Rooney girly yet because that's the only book I've read and it wasn't a 5-star. But I do think the character work in that was a lot of fun because it was just, they were constantly doing like 180s, and just the way it was like a roller coaster with those characters, and I thought that was really enjoyable to read about. A book that made you cry. None so far have made me cry. Books can make me cry, but it's yet to happen. I've had books make me feel like, oh my gosh, despair, but I Have Yet to Cry. That Made You Happy, The Lost Ticket. This is a romance book, and it was so wholesome of people just coming together to help this elderly man who has dementia or something like that, and they are all coming together to help him. I love to see people coming together when in this world so many people think there's so much division, but really I think there's more love than hate in the world. And my last question here is favorite book to movie adaptation you've seen so far this year. So this was a rewatch, but The Great Gatsby is one of my all-time favorite movies, and I do think the movie is better than the book. I'm sorry. Let's look at my stats. So this is from my story graph, which is always linked in the description of these videos if you guys would like to follow or add me on there. I'm not exactly sure how that social media works. So as of the official halfway point of the year, I've read 70 books, and that hits me 56% of my goal, which is 126 books. And that means I am ahead by 7 books, which is exactly where I would like to be. I have read, again, 70 books, 26,949 pages. That is quite a lot. Now for the moods, I'm just going to read the big 3, which is emotional, because I want to feel something in my books. Reflective, and adventurous. As for pace, I do think pace is something that is subjective, and I don't really know if Storygraph is taking what I say the pace of a book is or what the majority have said. 52% have been medium paced, when 28% have been slow paced and 20% have been fast paced. So I definitely want more fast paced reads in my life, because 2 of my reads lately just have been a slog, and I have to skim because I don't care what's happening. Page number, so 50% have been 300 to 49 pages, which in my mind is the average. And then 36% have been less than 300, while 14% have been over 500 pages. Tomes are scary. They're intimidating, but I am willing to, dive in. Fiction versus nonfiction. This is something I'm definitely trying to improve in the second half of the year. I read 93% fiction, while I read 7% nonfiction. Now I will be adding a nonfiction book to my TBR every month, and I even think in the next quarter I will be reading every other book, 1 fiction, 1 nonfiction, 1 fiction, 1 nonfiction, because I do want a variety, and there are so many nonfiction books that I see on social media or at the bookstore where I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to read them so bad, and then I just never get to it until like nonfiction November. Now my genres, I'm just going to read the big 4, and then I do have the screenshot so y'all can see the rest, but literary has been on top, which is shocking to me because it took me this long to realize that literary is probably the genre I've had the most success with giving books 5 stars. I know so far this year that has been the case. And historical is my favorite genre, but yeah, I think that makes it harder for me to be pleased with. This is by how many I've read. So it's literary, historical, romance, contemporary. As for format, I've read 18,707 pages, and I've listened to 249.95 hours of audiobooks. So print has been 59%, audio has been 23%, and digital has been 19%. So I would like to up that digital a little more to have it more of a quarter. That's just, I alternate each book I read. Like I'll do an audio, then an e, then a physical. So I would like more e, but I don't know how to, ebook is digital. I don't know how to amp that up a little more without taking away from the other formats. And for most read authors, no author has featured more than once. That is kind of shocking to me. I can't believe that. And in languages, all the books have been in English. And here you can see my books read versus pages read. So May was definitely my biggest reading month by page and book. And then I've written 70 reviews, or I've given 70 reviews anyway. And my average rating has been a 3.28, which is good, but it's not great. Like, I would prefer to be doing better than that. That is the mid-year book tag. That is my mid-year book stats. We will obviously come at the end of the year and do something similar, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And in the comments below, tell me what your favorite book has been so far this year and what your least favorite book has been. As always, comment, rate, and subscribe. And don't forget to ring that notification bell to be notified when all my videos go live. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.
Hey guys, recently I was invited to the Darlington County Humane Society in Darlington, South Carolina. This is Sherman, one of the dogs I got to meet. There are plenty of dogs there, and he is one of them. There are cats as well who are looking for homes. This is a shelter that is at over capacity in rural South Carolina, so a lot of these animals are very, very urgent. So I would highly recommend you guys looking at helping, adopting, fostering, volunteering, or donating. I will leave a link to their website down below because these animals, they deserve so much, and I would just like for them to find homes and just to get help because my animals mean so much to me, and to know they were in situations like this before, and those animals bring me so much joy, and I know that these animals can as well. So I would really, really like for you guys to help these animals. As I said, you can adopt, volunteer, or donate, foster, whatever works best for you. Even just sharing some of their posts on social media would be awesome. I hope you guys feel moved to help. Thank you.